Well, I could go on for hours, but unfortunately we've run out of time.
Oh no.
It is now 5:15.
Just like an hour.
This is when you're having fun. What's an hour?
45 minutes.
Oh, one of
Yes,
those hours.
yes, one of those talks.
Psychiatrist hour.
So, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Anna Gowell, John Eastman, Jim Statham, John Beard Turner. Thank you very much.
What a splendid introduction. Over the years, I've done many conventions, both here and in Australia and in America. But I've never had the opportunity to interview someone who is both a colleague and a friend. Nicholas Courtney, as you know, and I go back a very long way, and we meet each other regularly. We don't rely on convention appearances, we touch base, and if we don't meet, we talk on the phone, usually rather longer than perhaps I'd like to pay for, but then meeting benefits, so never mind. So to me this is going to be both an odd kind of situation to interview a mate, a chum, a colleague, but at the same time it will give me enormous pleasure, because I think probably we're going to have, hopefully, an entertaining chat. So please, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for the star of this panel, Nicholas Courtney.
Thank you. Lovely music. Love it. Wonderful. Very good. Not too fast, not too slow, just right. Very good.
Now, as I said, we're basically going to have a chat. But first off, I have to ask, why all this full beard bit?
Yes, it is getting right back.
It's sitting on your mic.
Always said you can't have a microphone. It's quite right. With my foghorn voice, I sort of don't need one. But you do need them occasionally. It's quite good. Yes, why all this fuss on the bass? I'm about to do something which I'm looking forward to very much, which is back on the stage again, where I started, which I love, and in a play by a very well-known playwright, Oscar Wilde, and it's a play called An Ideal Husband. Now, I'm not playing the ideal husband, how could I? That would be miscasting of an incredible degree. No, I'm playing a grumpy old man called Lord Caversham, who is the father of someone called Lord Goring. And this old boy, he's always very annoyed that his son doesn't do something proper. I mean, it's a sort of part, when my wife was hearing my lines the other day, she said, oh, you're made for this part. Because he's very sort of, he doesn't quite understand why his son doesn't get on, do things and this like that. It's a very good part. It's very well written. If I say that it's enormously enjoyable, no one likes learning lines very much, but I'm enjoying learning these lines because they're such beautiful lines to say. Often in my career you've had to do, was to learn things which aren't particularly good. You dross, semi-dross, not so good. But Oscar Wilde, who writes so beautifully, is a joy to learn the lines. And the main thing is it's not a very large part, which suits me enormously, because I started by saying it's a bit of a donkey work learning the lines, it is, especially as you getting on a bit. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do this play in Germany, not in German, I hasten to add. No, you couldn't do that, because I can't speak good enough German anyway. I don't think Oscar Wilde, well, I don't know. He's very popular in Germany. They've got in the town of Frankfurt an English-speaking theatre, which they do about 4 shows a year, they use English actors, American actors sometimes, and for example, at the moment there's Return to the Forbidden Planet on. After I leave in The Ideal Husband, they've got Private Lives by Noel Coward on. They've had Corpse on recently, you know, the play that Colin was in, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I think he was in Corpse. And they've done Wilde, and they've done Shakespeare. And they look after you very well. It's a very, very nice company, which is good. We started rehearsing last week. And they're very, very good. I haven't met any of them before, but I think it's going to be terrific because all the young people, there aren't much young people, they're perfectly cast, very well cast. We've got a director by the name of Mark Greenstreet who has done a Doctor Who, I know, and he, being an actor, is very good with actors. I mean, I'm tangenting a bit, I directed my first play last year, No Card piece, and it's very encouraging because he understands the actor's problems. And for example, when I asked if I could have time off, you know, because I wanted to come here, he was the first person to say yes. And so that's what I'm involved in at the moment. I think they're a great company. We're going to get on because all of us enjoy going to the bar. All of us do.
Are all the cast English?
Yes, yes, all of them.
And the director's English?
And the director, yes.
So what element is it apart from a German theatre? What element of German?
Well, all the stage staff are German. The lady who runs the theatre
such a milestone in the show's history. You know, there aren't very many shows that get beyond 5 years, let alone 25. And it was a particular joy because there were a lot of reminiscences and re-meeting of old friends and old faces from the show. So I'd say that's my high point.
Thank you very much. Question now from Mark Holmes. Why was Colin Baker dropped? And who was responsible for this?
Should really be addressed to Colin, I suppose, but he was dropped by the controller and my head of department.
Thank you very much.
And why? Well, the reason they gave was that at that time, what had been established was that doctors did 3 years and then moved on, which was a little bit of a nonsense because, you know, Tom had done 7, then Peter had done 3, and Colin had done 2, but they wanted to make 3 the ideal length of tenure of the Doctor, and they wanted to count the year that we didn't do any. So it's kind of quite odd, really, but that was the reason I was given.
Thank you very much. Question from Paula Nancy Millstone Jennings. Did John Pertwee ever have any advice for you at the end of a working week?
There's actually no. There was a time when I was getting really wound up about something on the 6th floor, you know, which is sort of the management of the BBC, and I was getting really quite stressed out about it, and I happened to say to John, you know, driving me mad, and you know, it's really getting to him here, and he said, Jay, so he always called me Jay, Jay, do the best you can. Take the money on Friday and buy yourself something nice.
A question now from Ian Garbutt, which may relate to one you've had before. Do you think that Chameleon would have made a good substitute for K9 had the creator of Chameleon not died shortly after its construction?
No.
We thought that might be the answer. Yet another question from Paula Nancy Millstone Jennings. What was the most difficult decision you had to make whilst producing Doctor Who?
whether to actually resign from the corporation, because I had been on the staff since late 1968, and I was made a producer in '79, which at the time was something of a very rapid promotion, considering I'd come in at the very bottom level of production and kind of got to the most senior job in production in about 10 years. And I very much enjoyed Doctor Who because I'd been working on it as an associate producer or unit manager, and then took it over. And I felt, when I said about my high life, this relates to that, I felt in '83 that I really wanted that to be my swan song. We were doing a season and a special. We were doing this huge event at Longleat. That really seemed to me the time to move on, and I asked if I could move on to something else. And I asked every year thereafter. And there were various reasons which I won't bore you with, but basically every year it was, would you do one more year, would you do one more year? And at one point, in '84, I actually thought, you know, if I said I'll resign in return for a 3-year contract on something else, you know, I'd be fine. At least I'd know that I've got 3 years' work, but I wouldn't necessarily be committed to Doctor Who. So I think my regret is that I didn't actually come off the staff at that point.
Thank you very much. An anonymous question now. Do you feel producer choice resulted in a higher standard of production values?
In some areas, yes, and in some areas, no. I mean,
Can you be specific?
well, it's very difficult because there are so many different areas, but the idea that the producer can say, no, I don't want to use BBC special effects, I want it to go to an outside contractor, is all very well and good in principle, but in practice, producers who'd been at the BBC for a while really didn't have that much knowledge of the different companies that were able to offer facilities. And in fact, many companies were developed specifically because of producer's choice, so that any decision that you made to go outside the BBC, in a way more often than not, was with somebody who didn't have an enormous track record. Going on years and years and years later, I think it became a better idea in practice. But deep down, the whole problem was it was breaking down the institution of the BBC. It was breaking down the fact that you could have stock flattage, that your scenery was looked after by the BBC, that it didn't have to be shipped out 50 miles to some outside storage because it had been made by an outside company. So it was very fraught with problems, but I think in a way the whole idea of producer's choice is what has taken away the standards that made the BBC so famous in the first place.
Thank you. Question now from Nick Butterworth. What do you think of the Big Finish audio productions?
I've only heard one, and a very, very good indeed, which is what persuaded me to do my memoirs. Very high audio standards and nice scripting. Yeah.
Well, we have another question now from Paula Nancy Millstone Jennings. Why did you stop being an actor?
Because I wasn't very good. I was very lucky. I worked for 3 years almost solidly, and it was actually a review in a newspaper. I think this was before I was old enough to realise that you take praise and criticism with pinches of salt, I was talking about earlier. And I was shredded in the Cheltenham and Gloucester Gazette for my performance in Treasure Island, and I just thought, I think I'm a bloody good amateur, but not a very good professional.
Thank you very much. Tony Steele now asks this question. Why were the Davison years and the McCoy years never made? Yes. Was there any intention to make more videos in the range that included the Daleks and Cybermen, the early years tapes?
Yeah, certainly the years tapes. I did nearly all the research for Peters and found some very fascinating clips related to Doctor Who, you know, like when he was cast and news items and bits and pieces. Of course, Sylvester, in my mind at that period, was very familiar, so I kind of knew what we got for that tape. Basically, I fell out with the head of home video, to whom I had suggested doing a special one-off Doctor Who 90-minute, and I costed it twice. And I was called in and asked, or told, that the assistant head, I think it was, of home video, was going to produce a 90-minute special, and they had a script, and would I like to be script consultant? And I said no with a great deal of vehemence, and I left the following day.
Thank you very much. An
I
anonymous...
was just insulted.
Thank you. Which episode story was the best one you produced? This is what the question says.
The best one.
The best one.
Well, you know, that's a weird question because, you know, the best one is everybody's personal opinion of which is the best one. Some of my favourites are the Five Doctors, Caves of Androzani, and Earthshock.
Thank you very much. Question from Ian Garrett. Why was the decision made to drop Sharda after the strike was over, after so much money had been put into the story?
Yeah, I managed to persuade the BBC to give me the money to make 2 additional episodes because I was never a fan of 6-part stories. And at that time, the usual length was 26 episodes. And I knew there wasn't money to do 6 4s and a 2. So I asked if, for my first year, but very cheeky considering I literally just got the job, I asked if we could make 28, and they agreed to make 28. And then I looked at all the Sharda material and put it to the BBC that if they gave us the money for 2 episodes, 2 additional episodes, they would get another 6 for the price of 2. And of course, this was round about the time when the accountants of the BBC were sort of breeding and multiplying. And Sharda had been written off financially in one financial year, and the implications of reviving it in the next one, the saving of 4 episodes didn't reflect on that financial year. So they weren't prepared to spend effectively a third, less than a third of the budget and get a whole new series. But we tried very, very hard.
Thank you very much.
And Douglas Adams actually cut it up into a 4-part story and edited it so that we could do a 4-part, and even that didn't make financial sense to them.
Thank you. Hypothetical question now from Stephen Baker. If you had a one-time only, never to be repeated shot of directing, what would you want to do, and who would you want to cast?
One time only shot. I'd like to do 1 episode of Coronation Street. And who would I like to cast? I'd like to recast that man that's sniffing around the Rita Fairclough.
Anyone have the name? No?
You know the gentleman who used to be a librarian with a moustache, who's
let's move on. A further question from Paula Nancy Millstone Jennings.
She's been very busy.
Indeed she has. It's somewhat similar to the last question, but slightly different. If you could produce any other program in the history of television, what would it be?
I think I'd have to go back to the street. I am a particular fan of the programme, and I would love a go. I mean, my previous agent, tried several times to get me involved with the street, but it wasn't successful, but it would have to be the street again, I think.
Thank you very much. Question now from Mark from Canada. If you cast an actor to play the Doctor now, who would it be?
These are the ones I hate. I don't honestly know, because I think there's such a lot of talent that it's not something you can give a very quick, flip answer to. That really is a question that needs very, very serious consideration.
Thank you very much. Question from Mrs. Camden. She's written in to ask if her son Steve Camden, with his ginger hair, was the inspiration for Turlo.
You know, I'd love to say yes, but no.
Thank you very much. The final question from Paula Nancy Millstone Jennings. Who did the most impressive audition for a part in Doctor Who? What did they do?
But the most impressive audition was an actress called Jessica Martin, who was one of the many people that Alan Waring and I saw for the part of Mags in The Greatest Show in the Galaxy. And Mags had to transmogrify before your eyes into a vampire. And of course the description was, you know, for a young girl. And we threw this. We gave the actresses a copy of 2 or 3 pages of the script in advance, and then on the day threw it at them. And it was quite frightening to see Jessica Martin behaving like a vampire in my office. I mean, it was unbelievable. She got down on all fours and literally turned into this bizarre creature before my eyes. And that's the most unusual, certainly.
Thank you. 2 final questions from your question master.
Yes?
Apart from last night's cabaret,
Yes.
you're there before. Have you ever dressed up as a woman before?
Only once. And I had, like Nick did last night, a full beard at the time. I was invited to a party in London, and the theme was soap opera characters, English and American. And I arranged the loan of a very spectacular costume that involved an 8-foot wide fur hat, and went as Joan Collins from Dynasty. And the apartment, which the party was taking place, was down a flight of stairs. And as one went down the stairs, the people who'd already arrived at the party could see the approaching person. And as I walked through the door and went, ta-da! One so-called friend of mine said, Claire Rayner was never in soap opera. So that's the only time. before last night.
Thank you very much. Your final question. You are no longer producer of Doctor Who. Presumably, like Sherlock Holmes, you've not retired to keep bees in Sussex. What are you doing now?
I'm currently working on a corporate project which I'm both writing and producing, which is a very big production, but nobody here will see it because it's being done purely for a vast organisation. I am still pursuing Big Step, which is a children's series which we now have a substantial amount of American funding for. 26 episodes, as I say, 10 to 15 minutes in duration. And the voice, it's live action, although it's children's, it's live action series, period, about a giant that really isn't very nimble. And we did a pilot, and we were lucky enough to get Tom Baker to do the voiceover. And Tom's very keen to do the series as well. So I'm currently writing that, hoping to go into production the minute that this corporate project finishes.
John Nathan Turner, we find you are not the weakest link.
Goodbye anyway.
And we thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, John.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together from BBB, Mr. Paul Ayres.
Afternoon. Just a little bit of an introduction about what you're about to see. You're about to see a quite unfinished portion of Who You Have a License to Say That's Planning Our Comedy video. Lasts about 10 minutes. Then afterwards we'll be down here with Sylvester, Gareth Preston, my co-writer, and Steve Johnson, who did the effects. And we'll have a look.
There's no seat for the co-star.
What did you think of that then? It wasn't bad, was it? Was it funny?
Yes.
Excellent.
Oh, good, because it went completely over my head.
It was very cold when we filmed that, wasn't it?
It was freezing. It was -5, I think you said. It was very cold. It's sometimes very difficult being funny in the cold. But it was interesting to make. At one point, I was watching it while we were doing it, thinking that I'd become Bela Lugosi and Bill Baggs had become Ed Wood. But it's turned out much funnier than I thought, actually.
I'm glad you like it. Can I just introduce a couple of guys on the end there? That's Gareth Preston, my co-writer, and Steve Johnson, who did what I think you must say are fabulous special effects for that. Oh. Any questions? Yeah.
You got any other monsters in it?
Oh, yes. There's a crinoid later on, a CGI crinoid that's not complete yet.
The villain.
And the villain is who works for the Licensed Reality Corporation. And it's not based on anything you might have heard of before, or any company who may have had anything to do with anything that you like at all. And the licensor is out hunting down the unlicensed foot doctor. And convention goers. And he pickles them in jars. Yeah, he pickles them in jars.
It's the story of everyday folk.
like the Archers on LSD.
Is the humour something that you'd like to carry on?
Well, certainly to the end of the film, yeah.
Future film.
I don't know. If this one's popular, I mean, did anybody see the Autumn Diaries this morning?
Yeah.
Well, that seemed to go down quite well. So, if we can do something that people like, if this is very popular, which hopefully from your reaction it might be when it's finished, then it might be something to look at again. But I don't think we're going to stop doing the serious stuff.
Yeah, because I mean, I think the idea was that was it a couple of years ago, the fans did a very funny Doctor Who one. What was it called?
A few doctors.
The Few Doctors, which was very funny. And I remember watching that with all the fans and thought that was such fun, and the response was so great from the kind of convention goers that when I was asked to do this, I kind of thought, well, this would be fun for the convention. The idea was to finish it for this convention. That's why we did it, really. But because we've got overexcited about all the technology, it's not finished yet. There's so many wonderful things to come, I believe, from that side of it.
I think we started off with as little CGI as we could get away with, and then it was just, well, let's have some fun with it.
I think it was Gareth's fault, actually.
Original what?
Yeah, there's more CGI. It's your fault. I'm blaming you.
Oh, right. Fair enough. I know there was one CGI effect. It was a scene we had to cut, and I was really sorry about it. That there's a joke later on about clock devices, and the classic clock device, I think, is the lassie, or Skippy, or one of those mini animals, like a guppy or something, and they say, "What's going on?" And it just goes, and the thing goes, "Oh, what? They've fallen down the mine? What? The whole congregation?" And it's like, and they run off, and we had this whole scene of the salesman just casually pulling Lassie out of his bag, just putting it down there, and then we do this whole talking to the dog scene. And sadly it had to be cut.
Yes.
And to make any more monsters.
Yeah, more monsters. It was great. We'd finished about the third draft of the script, and then I got an email from Bill on the 1st of January saying, "Great script, really like it. Can you put Autons and Sontarans and Krynoids in, please?"
Because I've got a cheap, there's a sale on for them.
And when we picked our jaws off the floor,
Yeah. We had the whole idea of them all being there.
Originally, it was meant to be along the lines of Autumn Diaries for Cybertron.
Yeah.
It was a short comedy with Cybertrons in it for about a few minutes, and then it just grew into this.
that's it. The original idea that they were just going to invade the street. Because they realised the problem was they were always invading the world, and that's a big
And they
thing.
always got beaten. So if we just do a street, that should be okay. Yeah, question, sorry, let's say a hand.
Can you think of how you do some of the effects?
Yeah.
I'll just say that, could you go through how you do some of the effects? Right, that's what you said, because people at the back might not know what's happening with it.
I think the main, or one of the main effects was the use of blue screen. We thought, wouldn't it be nice to have sort of inside a control room?
Not a TARDIS.
And probably the cheapest way to do that was to use some sort of CGI effect to film Sylvester in front of a blue screen. So you had no idea what you were in front of.
No, I was very mightily impressed by that inside console. Because I mean, that you stuck that in, it wasn't there, and I was just pretending to just point there and do this. And I thought it looked rather good, didn't it? It looked really good. I was amazed by that.
The great thing is that you interact with the console. That's what makes it really, really good. Is the fact that you're working on the CGI effect, and when you pull the lever with the umbrella, I think that's particularly effective. It's all right having like backgrounds. If there's something there that you're actually interacting with, that makes it much more real.
Yeah.
That's good. Without getting too technical, a lot of the lasers and things, they're quite simple effects to put on. There's programs that will automatically set up a laser beam firing from one point to another. So you can
do the autumn head?
The autumn
One
head
that exploded and
was,
ran towards the screen at the end.
started off as Rupert did a fantastic dance with the autumn, and I thought we ought to play on that, so gave it that 70s sort of pop.
Rupert was the autumn.
I thought it was the bear.
He's our monster guy, Rupert. And then I thought, well, where do we go from there? So we'll just make the whole thing explode, and literally just grab a photograph of the autumn head. We took quite a few photographs on the day. Just twisted his mouth a bit to make it look a little bit frightened, if nothing else. And then just zoom that in over the top of the footage.
Another question? Yeah.
Do you envisage any problems with BBC as you use dance?
Do we envisage any problems with the BBC?
Yeah, there's always problems with the BBC.
The BBC do own the rights to the police box, yes, in out of context. If it's not in a city street like a proper police box, if it's flying through space, that would be, you know, within the purview of the BBC. But I think because it's just parody, we should be okay. But
We're going to look into it.
we're checking with our lawyers and Sylvester's lawyers.
Oh my God, I got to get sued as well. That wasn't me, that was his technical. He did it. That wasn't me at all. He just lent him the coat and he stuck it on this rather aged, fat person who I don't know at all.
Are you talking about me?
Yes. He doubled for me, you see, on my coat.
Sylvester, did you enjoy doing the Mythmakers?
Mythmakers? Yes. What's the Mythmakers? Have I done that?
It's the one where you did it with Sophie Aldrich and you were walking around.
Oh, that one, yes. Oh, gosh, years ago. Yes, I enjoyed that. Yes, that was good. Yeah. Sophie interviewed me, I think. Is that right? Yes.
When she handed in emergency questions.
Yes. Yes, that was good fun. Thank you.
Is that some Taran here to take over the convention, take over the Leo Brick Hotel or something?
Now, that's the new manager of the Leo Brick.
I think he's looking for more change for the parking meter. I think for the walk list.
He looks like a parking meter, actually.
He was actually, his spaceship was actually towed away this morning, and he's waiting to get it back.
I think he's hoping for a lift from the Shropers.
Foot doctor. Oh, that's right, you've got that one. What's your offer is bless you, foot doctor.
What inspired you to write it, Paul and Gareth?
Well, Paul's probably the best on the inspiration because he phoned me and said, oh, you've got good ideas, he said, for a freshman, and you want to co-write this thing, little thing for Bill, when it was still at that point, it was just going to be a little 10-minute spoof at the end. And so we gathered together around the kitchen table and started throwing ideas around. And an early idea that was discarded was it was going to be someone who was trying to infiltrate the Cyberons, but he got stuck in the uniform and he was having to pretend to be really evil and being terrible at it, just a Mr. Bean of aliens.
Well, that wasn't very funny, so we.
But that wasn't very funny, was it?
Neither was Mr. Bean.
So we got talking about this thing about BBB and things, and this whole fan thing about things that are kind of Doctor Who, but they're not Doctor Who, and thought it was all ripe for a little bit of gentle guy, a little bit of gentle humour about it.
The thread that runs through it is the Cyberons wanting to be Cybermen, and it's BBB monsters aspiring to be the real thing. And we thought that was quite funny. We thought that appealed to fans, really. And it just grew and grew and grew out of that.
How difficult is it to react to a lot of these computer-generated effects? For example, the TARDIS, you didn't really have a console to do the engineering in the later bits of it, and you had to mind from that bit.
I'll repeat that. How difficult was it to react to the, the effects because they weren't there? Well, it wasn't that difficult there really. It's just Bill said, press a button, pretend and do it there. No, a bit further, there, no, near, there, okay, there. Yeah, that's it, good. It was just like going, and I kind of did it in remembering the actual TARDIS, you know, I don't want to mention that. When I used to work on another planet for the BBC, and the TARDIS thing. So no, I just kind of did a couple of those things I used to do, I remember doing. I can't remember if I worked any other things.
It was mainly the console.
It was mainly the console that was
Ducking.
the ducking, yeah.
We had the umbrella stuntman holding the umbrella up again. We saw where the umbrella was leant against the console. I'm not giving too many special effects sequences away, so there was a man on the floor holding that up. So you just picked it up from there, and then Steve keyed the console to the side of that.
I think a lot of, and certainly doing it for the effects, having the footage, a lot of the effects obviously are put in around what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you touched that point, then I'll stick a laser in there. But it sort of works.
Yes, because that bit, there was a bit where you fired a laser at me and I put my hand up or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember, didn't know that was happening.
Well, you sort of
I just went like that, yeah.
and then turn around and duck.
And that wasn't planned actually.
No, it was just, I thought it would be great to just have the laser stop.
Yeah. It worked very well actually. It's funny, it's funny.
A few of the gags, you know, the special effect gags have come afterwards. That's why they're watching it and thinking what's the movie.
We wouldn't be giving, I mean, just to aspire anybody out there who wants to get into doing those sort of effects. As I said yesterday with Cybertron, it was all done on a home computer with software. The software at the moment that's available is absolutely incredible to be able to do this. If you've got the raw materials,